Hello everyone, welcome back to my channel. If you are new here, my name is Layla. Today we're going to be looking at somebody's financial situation and figuring out whether they should get a second job or join a debt consolidation company. We have another Reddit post to look at. I believe this one was posted in the debt subreddit. When I screenshotted it, I did not include that part in it, so it was either debt or personal finance. This is one of the crazier ones that I saw. Like, just reading through all of this was so overwhelming. So I will read this to y'all in just a moment and go over what I would suggest for them. But I'm also going to plug in here that you can submit your financial situation to me. You can email me, I'll have it in my description box. Down there, you'll also see the list of things that would be really helpful for you to include in your email, and I will likely include your financial situation in one of these videos and share with you what I would do in that situation. If you're interested in taking things a little bit further and having me be your accountability partner for paying off your debt or getting your finances put together, I do also offer one-on-one sessions, and those will be linked down below as well. But let's go ahead and get into this post. It's titled, "Should I get a part-time job on top of my full-time job, or should I join a debt consolidation company?" So I'm assuming by debt consolidation company, they mean they would work with a debt relief program and they would help them to pay off their debt. Without even going into everything that this person posted, I think I'm going to say that this is a she. I honestly don't know. I'm going to say it's a she though. Without even going into everything that she wrote down, I typically would never recommend joining a debt relief program, paying anybody to help you with like consolidating your debts and managing your debts. That is something that you should be able to do on your own, and going to a company is just going to cost you a lot more money in the long run. So for most people, it's not something that I would recommend. But let's get into what they posted. "Hi everyone, I'm here to ask for your opinion regarding my situation. I was laid off in December 2022 and only found a job recently that will start next month that pays $25 per hour at 40 hours per week. Looking at a salary calculator online, my weekly take-home will be about $750 per week. I also don't pay any mortgage, rent, household bills, so I can focus entirely on repaying what I have." That is great news, because it looks like you're gonna have to pay for food and just like basic things for you to stay alive, but you don't have to pay mortgage, rent, household bills. So I don't know, maybe she'll go into what else she has to pay for. But that's a great start right there, because then it sounds like you can put a bunch of your money to your debts or your financial situation. "I've maxed out all of my credit cards on top of other debt that I am pretty much suffocating at this point, and wanted to hear what your opinion is regarding my next steps. Just so you know, I'm already doing the following. I've been seeing a therapist regarding my spending habits. Addiction, question mark. I have stopped using my credit cards and just use my debit card now. I have hidden my credit cards in an inconvenient place so that I'm not tempted to grab them if I felt like it." Bullet number 1, that they are seeing a therapist. Good. That's great news. I am not a therapist, by any means. And so I think oftentimes people who have spending problems do need a therapist. Like, if you have a shopping addiction, if you find yourself getting out of debt and then going back into debt frequently, and like you have this vicious cycle going, you probably need to speak with a therapist and get further help to get to the root cause of that. Because yes, you can clean up your finances and you can pay off your debts, but if you're just going to keep those habits, you will find yourself in the same situation, potentially in a worse situation. That's great news that they are aware that they have a spending problem and are seeing somebody to get help. "I have stopped using my credit cards and just use my debit card now." That's great news. Definitely you don't want to be spending on your credit card. Hopefully this person can keep that up, because like they said, they have an addiction, and oftentimes when somebody's addicted, this is something that they would just say, but are going to, relapse, I guess you could say, and use their credit card and spend money that they don't have. So hopefully they stick to that. And then they've hidden their credit cards. This is interesting because they hid it themselves, it sounds like, in an inconvenient place. Like, what does that mean exactly? I guess it would be like locked up, or there's some people who literally freeze their credit cards into ICE, but you also want to make sure you've deleted any saved credit cards from your browser. Like you can save the credit card number and all of that stuff on the internet. Make sure you get rid of that. Sounds like it's pretty extreme for you. Y'all will see their debt in just a moment, but it sounds like it's pretty extreme, the spending problem. So you may want to take it a step further and cut up as many credit cards as you can. This is the type of person who probably should never use credit cards in their life, even though they would get bonus points and stuff. It's not worth it if you have a spending addiction. Now, I'm going to pop up on the screen. I'm going to have to put it on like the whole screen, I think, all of their debts. And I'll just read through some of these, but this is overwhelming. This is a lot. What's a little bit frustrating too is they didn't put the details for everything. It's clearly a bunch of credit card debt. A lot of them are very high interest rates. I see over 30%, over 25%, over 20%, like everything that you can imagine here. There are some 0% thrown in there, but almost everything is above 23%. That's upsetting. They also put a section at the bottom that says other loans. I don't know why they didn't include this in the top part. Payday loan, 190 bi-weekly until June 2024. Crazy interest, 50% plus, 50% plus, and 190 every other week. So that's a lot. Very expensive. Car, 342 monthly. They didn't put an interest rate, which would be helpful. They also didn't say how many more months they have to go, like the total balance for that. I'm not sure why. Student loan, Sally Mae, same with this one. They didn't put a total amount, but it's 190 monthly and then no interest rate. So Sally Mae, I think that could potentially a federal student loan. I'm not sure why they separated those out and didn't just put like a total balance for those as well, because that would be helpful in this. I'm gonna have to make some assumptions, which is not the whole picture, but we can figure it out. So I will be putting this into my debt snowball / avalanche tracker that y'all know I always use. We'll get these organized, but I want to keep reading. So let's move on. Laying it out here, I am definitely frustrated at myself for having such a high debt for little income. I do know I have problems and I'm hoping therapy helps get to the bottom of it. I am honestly considering debt consolidation companies at this point. Looking at my future plans, I am currently going to school for a profession that should guarantee a higher paying job, at least $80K annually, but I won't finish until at least 2026. Until then, I am stuck with all this debt. Would debt consolidation companies be the best option? Should I get a minimum wage part-time job that pays $15 per hour for 20 hours a week so I can use that money to pay them off on top of the minimum I already pay? I know both options take time. I would love to get another full-time job, but unfortunately, due to certain obligations, I'm unable to at this point. I am missing some details here, so I would like to know a few things. One would be, are you going to be going into further debt for school, or is that like you already took out the loans? You probably will be going into further debt. I guess that's aside the point. We'll just focus on these. Do you have any emergency fund? And if so, how much? For this situation, I'm going to assume they do not have any. I'm going to assume they do not have children. It sounds like they may be like living with family since they don't have to pay mortgage, rent, or household bills. But it would be helpful to know if you're paying for anything else outside of your debts. Because if you're paying for food, like maybe your parents or whoever you're living with is also paying for food, but that would be helpful to know because it's not specified here. Okay, y'all know the drill. The first thing we're going to look at is their monthly income. So they said they would be making about $750 per week, give or take, of course, because they could work overtime. There may be times where they don't work 40 hours per week if they get sick or take a leave or whatever. So we'll keep that though. $750 per week times 4, that's $3,000 per month. And then expenses. So like I said, it would be really helpful to know if you're paying for anything, like are you paying for food? We're just going to assume that the only thing you're paying for are your debts. And if we add everything up that you need to pay for, the minimum balances come to $2,463. So that leaves you with $537 left over, but you're already paying like almost 100% of your paycheck to your debts, which is crazy. That's really unfortunate, but honestly, I plugged in these numbers. I'm going to show you all in just a moment. It's not that bad. Like she can get out of this. You do not need to consolidate. You do not need to hire any like debt consolidation company. You definitely need to get your spending in control, but you also like don't need to file for bankruptcy. I would say you don't even need a second job. You could get it, of course, but you would be fine without it, which is surprising to see. I will say it does depend on your student loans, but student loans are not as bad as everything else that's here. Now for this situation, I am going to actually go down to the bottom of the screen so we can go to my debt avalanche / snowball tracker. This is linked down below. If you would like to purchase it, you can plug in your numbers and see how quickly or how long it will take you to pay off your debt. For this person, because they had so many debts, I did have to shrink it down a little bit. So let me explain here. I did put all of her numbers in, her debts in, and sorted them from the order that I think she should pay them off. I did combine a couple of things. So you'll see PayPal and Care Credit are here combined together because there's small balances in both at 0%. Another thing I combined was Capital One Quicksilver because that was on her list twice. It looks like it was two separate cards, but they're both at the same interest rate and they're called the same thing. So I put that together. I did put the payday loan on here. However, I did not include the car or the student loan on this list because I don't know the amounts. But I will say that the car minimum balance is $342, and then the student loan the minimum payment is $190. So that's where I got that $2,463 per month. If we add up all of these debts, she has a little bit over $38,000 total, including that payday loan, excluding the car and student loans, of course. But if you look at everything here, it's honestly not that bad. So I have the starting month of June. That's when I'm filming this. The current month is June because that's when I'm filming this. And then debt-free date is March 2025. So that is not that bad. That is less than 2 years. She could pay off all of these loans and then move on to her car and the student loans. It sounds like she'd probably have more student loan debt by the end of her schooling, but that's okay. At least you would get these taken care of and hopefully stay out of credit card debt. The first thing I noticed was that she has quite a few debts that she can just knock off within a month or two. So that would be Uplift. Uplift has a balance of $315. The interest rate is almost 30%, and then the minimum payment is $91. So that's a high interest rate, a pretty high minimum payment, considering the balance is only $315. Just knock that out. Go ahead and pay that off in the first month. Then that decreases this to, it decompresses your total debts to like 14 instead of 15. Same thing with the American Airlines credit card. Has a balance of $500. The interest rate is pretty high, 24.99%, minimum payment of $500. Just knock that out within the next month or two. Same thing with Chase Freedom. A balance of $500, minimum payment of $40, 23.24%. Pay that off. This is going to happen pretty quickly. Like you should be able to knock these three off in a month. That's going to feel just so good to get that out of the way. I did also combine the PayPal and Care Credit. So yeah, $505. It's at 0%, but it's a small balance that you can just get rid of. So I personally would put that next. So then you take care of 5 of your debts, and just right off the bat, like within the first month and a half, you literally can see the progress happening. You're going to save over $200 per month in debt payments, and then you can roll that on to your next debt. So let's see what that would be. I did put the payday loan after that. Now, to be honest, I don't know too much about payday loans. It's never something I've taken out, and even the clients that I've worked with don't take, nobody's ever taken out a payday loan. It's not something I recommend ever doing because, as they said, that their interest rate is over 50%. That is crazy. It is robbery. Do not do that. Anything like that is just horrible. So I calculated about, this is what I think they owe based off of their minimum payments that they have to pay bi-weekly until next year. The minimum is $380 per month. I am hoping you can pay off a payday loan without having to be penalized or anything. I am not too sure about that, so y'all will have to let me know. But that's what I would put next, and you could pay that off by February 2024. Something I do want to call out is that for this spreadsheet, I mentioned at the beginning that she has about $500 left over per month, but I would rather play it safe and say that she can only afford $300 in extra payments instead of $500, because probably going to go out to eat here and there, even though you probably shouldn't. This situation calls for desperate measures. Probably not going to make a perfect $3,000 per month, could be purchasing other things. So I did want to play it on the safe side here. So this is assuming that they're able to put an extra $300 per month to one after the other anyway. So that payday loan could be paid off in 9 months from now, February 2024, and that will save you so much in interest. That's going to cost you from now until then probably over $1,000 in interest. This may not even be an accurate number. That's just hard because first of all, they said 50 plus. It sounds like they don't even know exactly what they're being charged, but yeah, it's going to cost you quite a bit. So I would pay that off fast if you can. And basically from there, I have it going from largest interest rate down to the lowest, as you can see. So starting from the payday loan, and then Upstart is at 33%. This one is crazy because it's a really high balance, $10,000, pretty decent minimum payment, and then just that interest rate. You can see that for the life of this loan, it's going to take her 17 months and pay that off by October 2024, and it's going to cost her over $3,000 in interest, assuming she pays this much extra. But by the time she gets to this one, it looks like she'll be able to throw $1,273 to it per month and then pay that off within a few months of doing that. Yeah, and she would just continue to go down the list until the final one would be paid off, and that would be her Discover credit card. And like I said, she could be completely credit card and loan debt free aside from the car and the student loans by March 2025. That's not bad. When I saw this chart to begin with, I was like, whoa, this is going to be crazy. This is going to take you decades. But it's just once you get the full picture of everything and lay everything out, then it's not so overwhelming and you can just make a plan. I think people automatically are like, oh my God, I have 15 different debts. I need to go to somebody and pay them to fix this for me, when you can, get a handle of it and do that yourself. You can look at the big picture, make a plan, stick to this, and you can be debt-free a lot faster than many other people can reach debt freedom. As I said, for this one, I am saying she's only doing $300 of extra payments, but I did go ahead and plug in if she was able to do $500 of extra payments per month. And if they were to do that, she would be debt free about 2 months earlier in January 2025. And of course would save a little bit in interest, probably a lot in interest. Let's look at that. Yeah, probably about $600 saved in interest here, maybe a little bit more than that. And I would have to look at everything else, but probably a decent chunk saved in interest there, a couple thousand or a few thousand, nothing major, 2 months faster. But I would say anytime that she is able to pay an extra $500, that she should be. If it's more than $500, even better. You could get a part-time job if you wanted to and make even more extra payments. You also want to make sure that you can avoid getting laid off. So you may want to build up a little bit of an emergency fund so that you do not go into further debt. If anything, at this point, $500 to $1,000 for an emergency fund, because to me, these debts are emergencies. Like, just pay off that uplift and get that taken care of, because 30% on such a small balance is silly. But paying 50% interest for a debt, 33% interest, to me, that's an emergency. And yeah, I would just push to focus on your debt. It sounds like you're in an okay living situation where if something did come up, maybe you could get some support. Again, that's a question I would want to ask, but really, really focus on your debt. And maybe once you pay down some of the higher interest debts, then you could save a little bit more and cushion that emergency fund. But I wouldn't even worry about it at this point. That's it for this one. I was pleasantly surprised to see everything come together and not be as bad as I was expecting. I do wish them luck on their journey to earning a higher income, and I hope that the therapy does help with the spending situation, because, once you reach a higher income, lifestyle creep is a very real thing, and many people go through that. If you're making double the income, 3 times the income that you're used to, you may spend even more and probably go over what you've been doing currently. And hopefully to any of y'all who have a spending problem, this would maybe strike a chord in you to go and get help, because you can get the help that you need and then change your financial situation and feel a lot better about everything. But feel free to comment down below what you suggest for this person, if you agree or disagree with anything that I put into place. Thank you so much for watching. Please give this video a thumbs up, subscribe if you haven't already, and I'll see you in my next video.